Hello. So we are starting today with two keynotes. The first one is presented by Serena Moro. She has a studio named Siki Studio, and the title of her keynote is Beyond Promises, Applying a Pragmatic Approach to Sustainability in Fashion. Au-delà des promesses, appliquer une approche pragmatique de la durabilité de la mode. If you want to hear Serena in French, si vous voulez entendre Serena en français, vous pouvez demander un casque audio pour la traduction simultanée. Serena, it's your turn.
Merci beaucoup et bonjour à tous. Hello everyone, my name is Serena Moro and I'm the founder of Siki Studio, which is a consulting company in the fashion sector which is focused on sustainability. Basically, what we do is that we support companies in getting ahead of the sustainability trends, being compliant with recent regulations, and above all, use sustainability as a driver for competitiveness and getting new targets also, with a scientific approach. We have worked with some big brands. I think you know many of them, like from Colmar to Liujo, Timex Group, and many others, but we also work with startups and small and medium enterprises. We have both a consulting part and a software part, so we also support companies in getting efficiency in their sustainability activities. We also have a 4.8 out of 5 satisfaction rate, so we have a guarantee of satisfaction for our projects. These are some examples of the projects that we did for some of our clients to give you an idea of what we do. So this is an example from Replay Denim, so denim company. They were used to talk about sustainability in a very compliance way. So in their compliance part of the website with very vague words. And what we did is that we worked on their sustainability vision, reduced rating replay, creating a way more compelling storytelling on sustainability, and also something happened, and also verifying all the claims based on data, based on documentation, so that we were sure that we avoided greenwashing at all. Another example is for a luxury brand. They have thousands of suppliers, and they were used to very complex Excels to verify the social compliance of their suppliers. The problem was that it was super complex and they didn't have a way to get more efficiency in their work. And also there was a very subjective way of assigning the points, the rating, the sustainability rating to companies. So they weren't very sure that the rating they get was really exactly the risk of the company. So what we did is that we used this a statistical approach to verify which were the characteristics of the company that led to more social risks. For example, the dimension of the company statistically can have an influence of the risk of the social risk, or for example, the fact that there are subcontractors or not. This was verified statistically. And then also we developed a software to be way more efficient, and the result was a projected 25% increase in efficiency by 2026 while enhancing risk identification. Another example is for an international watch manufacturer. They were used to talk about specific projects, nice projects, but project-based communication. What we did with them is to have a wider approach to sustainability by calculating really the impact, the environmental impact of every phase, of every product, so that they could have a strategy which really was focused not on only projects, but of the most efficient and effective project to reduce the environmental impact. Well, these are some other, just to give you another idea. Here, with this company, we focused from moving to organic and recycled to more strict criteria based on, again, on data in order to demonstrate that there was really a reduction of emission. Otherwise, you just say organic, but you don't demonstrate how much you're reducing the impact of organic. So now we go to the topic of today. We will see, first of all, an introduction on why we are talking about sustainability in fashion and what is the, let's say, traditional approach to sustainability for fashion companies. And then we will see a case study on how we moved from a traditional approach to a pragmatic approach with one of our clients. Regarding the introduction, for some it will be new data, for some it will be a very useful recap of information that you know about the impact of sustainability. If we see like the classic production system in fashion, it's like what is called linear approach. So basically, we use a lot of like virgin feedstock, like 95% more or less of feedstock with virgin, to produce products that we then use and then dispose of when we have finished using them. So they go landfilled or incinerated. Only a very small proportion of end-of-use textiles get recycled, and an even smaller percentage get recycled in the closed-loop system, which means into new textiles, not into like other materials such as like mattress stuffing, which is lower in quality. And the problem is that over time, we have increased the use of products. If you think about your wardrobe today and your wardrobe 15 of your mother 15 years ago, probably they had way less clothes. Over the past 15 years, clothing production has doubled, and the lifespan of garments has been reduced by 36%. So you can understand how bigger the problem is getting. If we think about a focus now to simplify things, so we focus only on climate change, the biggest reduction of opportunities are, if you see here, these, the bigger this is, the bigger the impact of emission reduction can be. So if you see, the biggest color here is in decarbonized material processing. So this is where we can really make a difference in our approach to sustainability. What's the point here? If you are a brand, well, it's way before your activities, right? So it depends a lot on the manufacturers. Well, we are here at a fair in which we can discuss with manufacturers about how they are reducing their impact. So if you see, we have a big opportunity of reducing the emissions in material processing. In particular, we're talking about raw material extraction, for example, like for polyester, cotton production. And then we are also talking about up to textile production. So we are talking about energy consumption for the various phases from raw material extraction to textile production. We're talking about dyeing, for example. We're talking about waste during textile production. This is where the biggest impact is. Actually, some other activities, for example, packaging, on average, can't weigh less than what I discussed before. For textile products, because, for example, as I said before, I've also worked with a watch manufacturer, the packaging there can have a very big impact. Sometimes the packaging is even heavier than the watch itself. But here we're focusing about textiles, so in general, these are the activities that have a bigger impact. And this is very important because sometimes we are saying, okay, we are doing a lot, we have changed all of our packaging. Okay, great. Please remember that we need to focus on where the biggest impact is. We also know that we have a lot of social risks in upstream phases, but what I would like to focus on is that we have some market trends on sustainability that push companies towards sustainability. In particular, regulatory changes. We have a lot of regulations, at least in Europe, that will make companies focus way more on sustainability. For example, the CSRD, which makes mandatory for companies to publish their impacts in a report together with the financial impact. Then other regulations such as the CSDDD, which is the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive, that will oblige large companies in knowing the risks in the supply chain and managing the risks, not only knowing them, but also managing them. Apart from regulations, there is also a topic of market demand. Sometimes companies say, our target don't care about sustainability. We tried to do some sustainable collection, but they just didn't work. I would like to tell you a little story of a company I know. It's a startup that produces reusable packaging for e-commerces. Okay, so as a brand, you can give the option to consumers to choose the classic single-use packaging or the reusable packaging. If you choose the reusable packaging, you will pay more, or you will pay a deposit that will be given back to you when you resend the reusable packaging back. So it's more effort for consumers, right? And I asked that a startup, like, how many consumers chose the reusable packaging on average for a brand? And the answer was, well, if the brand doesn't do nothing about sustainability and they only offer the reusable packaging option, the adoption is like 2%, so nobody, basically. But if a brand works on sustainability also on other points of view, and then promotes the reusable packaging option also, the adoption rate is around 30%. So even more than 10 times more the brand that doesn't do nothing. What is the meaning of this? The meaning is that consumers are not interested in a sustainable, we cannot even say sustainable product, but of a preferred product. They're interested in a brand that works on sustainability. There's a very big difference between doing a capsule collection focused on like recycled materials or organic materials, and talk about your investments as a company in sustainability. In that case, you're able to speak to the target which is interested in sustainability. If you have never talked about sustainability, you're just not talking about with the target who's interested in sustainability. So if you just produce a capsule collection, well, you're not selling it to the clients who are interested. You're selling to your clients, which have never been interested, because if they were interested, they would have gone to another brand already. So that's the point. If you start to work on sustainability, you will start to speak to a new target, probably, which takes time and takes the coherence to talk with. But once you've reached it, there's a new target for you, too. In general, what I'm talking about is also demonstrated by all the chats that I have with companies. We do a report every year with a focus on Italian brands, asking them many questions about sustainability, and one of the questions we ask them is why you're investing in sustainability. Well, the big majority of companies invest in sustainability because it's needed for competitiveness. So what we are saying is that sustainability is really now a topic of like staying in the market, otherwise we risk to be uncompetitive. Well, and this is what companies are doing now. A lot of things, very different things. So because sustainability requires a lot of actions, a lot of different investments in different fields. But as I said before, when you have this approach, instead of just focusing on, yeah, I'll use a recycled material for a capsule collection, the results will come. The point is, I've spoken about some external drivers to sustainability, for example, regulatory drivers, right? Many companies focus on a compliance approach to sustainability, so they are reactive to market demand. Okay, regulations ask this, I'll do this. Or my biggest client is asking me this, okay, I will do this. This is a reactive approach. The problem of a reactive approach is that you don't achieve the desired results and you don't get that competitiveness we were talking about. Now we will see some example of a more compliance approach versus a more pragmatic approach. And by a pragmatic approach, I mean an approach which is focused on getting real results. And if you're focused on getting the results, you're also focused on using your resources, which are limited in terms of money, time, in the best way to achieve the results. So let's see some examples together. This is, first of all, the limitations that we found in the traditional approach. First of all, as you said, compliance-oriented and responsive. So I wait until the new regulation comes into force, or I wait until the biggest client tells me that I need to do this, otherwise I'm out of the market, before doing it. What's the problem here? Well, you're always behind. You're doing things when all the others do things, because if regulations come into force, well, everybody will follow the regulations. So you don't even have anything to tell about, right? If you only wait until you have to do it. And then the second problem is that companies which have a more traditional approach are focused on the bare minimum, not the results. We will see some examples now. The problem here is, okay, I do the things that will allow me to say I'm compliant. So I will do the things that will allow me to say to my client, yes, I'm working on it. What's the problem here? We are not talking about sustainability because we want to talk about sustainability. We are talking about sustainability because we are in a climate emergency and we have a lot of social risks in the supply chain. This is why we are talking about it. If we don't remember the end results that we want to reach, and we only focus on, okay, I'll do things that will allow me to tell me that I'm investing something in sustainability, you won't get real results. So why are you spending money not to even achieve results, right? We will see some examples now. And this is related to the second problem. If you work like this, you don't get real results. You don't even get communication topics to use. Well, sustainability becomes a cost rather than an investment. I can tell you, based on the report that we published this year when we interviewed many Italian companies, that the majority of companies see a positive return on investment on sustainability, which means that they are earning more than they spent, or that they have a way better brand image that totally made the investment worth it. Okay. But if you work on a compliance aspect and that's it, and if you focus on the bare minimum, your approach is also focused on reducing costs as maximum. What's the result? The result is you're not getting the positive ROI, the positive return of investment. Sustainability becomes a cost, so you want to invest even less the year after, and this is a negative loop. I'll give you another example. We are working a lot with brands, right? So some brands are doing the capsule collection I was talking about. Okay, I have this brand who did a capsule collection with some interesting materials, I would say, so also some innovative materials, and the product team worked on it. There was no connection with the marketing team, so the marketing team didn't communicate at all what the product team did in this capsule collection. There was no connection with the sales team. So when the sales were talking with clients, they were used to say the things that they always said and focused on the products that they knew they would sell more without having numbers, information, a storytelling to tell to their clients on the sustainable capsule collection. Results, 0 sales. Okay, it was totally not worth it. The interesting thing that this brand did, instead of saying, okay, let's avoid sustainable products, there's no market for it, they changed the distribution channels thanks to a partner. So the sustainable products were actually more expensive but sold in different distribution channels, showed during events. They had a good marketing investment on it. Well, the result was that the year after, the sustainability capsule collection was a success. because they invested in it on a 360 degrees, also from a distribution perspective, a marketing perspective, and they were able to reach that new target. In this way, they had a positive ROI. So you see the difference between using sustainability just as the bare minimum or having a strategy on sustainability. Okay, let's see some examples. Very big topic, certifications. Like, this is one of the first things that companies do that it's super important. What's the classic sustainability approach? This is a quote of one of our clients. This client said, okay, I'm satisfied because compared to our competitors, I have more certified products. What's the issue with this claim? The point is, I mean, how many certifications do you know? There are dozens of certifications. They are not all the same, right? They certify different aspects, and some are more reliable than others. This company was just focusing on having a label on their products. They didn't care about which was the best label, or above all, they didn't care about the end result, because remember, sustainability is not a word that we want to use because we like it. We have final results that we want to reach: reducing climate impact, reducing biodiversity impact, reducing social risks, etc. Okay. So they weren't focused on choosing the materials that had a lower impact. They were just focused on choosing the material that had a label, whatever label. The result here is they weren't really achieving big results in terms of reducing emissions, and they had certifications that all their competitors had. They were at a fair, the competitor next to them had the same certifications. The competitor next had the same certifications. You can understand that there is no interest from a market perspective. I mean, you're just doing the minimum, right? What's a different approach that we can have? Let's focus on what really reduces the impact. And sometimes you're focusing on recycle and you get a certification to prove the recycled aspects. Sometimes we are not using a certification. Maybe you're choosing an innovative material which has no certification but can demonstrate reduced impact. What's the benefit of this? You're innovating. You are demonstrating the reduced impact, so the end result. So you have communication benefits, differentiation from competitors because you're also focused on innovation, and you get to reach the targets. Another example is on supply chain. Classic quote of many clients. We monitor our suppliers because they all sign the code of ethics. I don't know how many of you have signed a code of ethics from your client. I don't know how many things you changed in your production after you signed the code of ethics. I would say 0 or close to 0. This is a piece of paper, right? The code of ethics itself is a piece of paper if there's no monitoring action together with the code of ethics. That's the problem. They're focusing, the companies that consider code of ethics as the results achieved for monitoring the supply chain are only focused on the bare minimum and on a compliance approach. But if we think about the final result that we should have is reducing deaths, reducing injuries in our supply chain, and reducing gender issues. If we think about the end results, well, everything changes. You're focusing on identifying real risks, and code of ethics becomes one of the things that you are using together with many other tools, audits, etc., etc. What's the benefit? Well, we are avoiding standards. I'm from Italy. Last year, we had so many scandals from big brands in Italian supply chains. And the problem was those brands were working with nice suppliers. They would do the audits. They would make them sign the code of ethics. Okay, amazing. But that nice suppliers had subcontractors that had problems. The brand would just focus on the bare minimum, which is, okay, my suppliers are good. Result, scandal. Okay, so very bad ROI on the investment that they had on monitoring suppliers. Another example, Carbon footprint. Many companies now are calculating their carbon footprint, which is amazing. What's the problem sometimes is that calculating the carbon footprint becomes the end result. I have my number, I can put my number, this number in my sustainability report. Well, that number doesn't mean anything if you're not reducing it. It's like going to the doctor, knowing that I need to go on a diet because I weigh too much. Great, I know my number, I know how much I weigh, but if I don't go on a diet, how useful is that number that I have? The objective is calculating the carbon footprint so that we go on a diet and define a strategy to reduce it. In this way, I can tell you that you will have efficiency and cost saving also, because if you look well at the numbers of the carbon footprint, you will find a lot of efficiency actions. That's also why I told you that the big majority of the companies have positive ROI and sustainability, because they are focused also on efficiency, which is also cost saving. So as you see, this is the approach that we have, moving from compliance to competitiveness. And I'll show you a case study to go practical. This is a brand that you probably don't know because they work third party. So they work with big brands, big sporting companies, and of course their brand put the name of it on their brand, on the products. They focused on sustainability since years ago, when it was not so much of a trend, when they started working on it, since 2018. So if you think about 2018, we had companies talking about sustainability, but it wasn't like so much of a trend. Let's see their success factors using a pragmatic approach and an approach based on getting the results. First of all, reliability and transparency. They say to customer what is possible and what is not possible, because not everything is possible with sustainability. What's the problem that many companies in the supply chain have is that they show also sustainability options, but then the brands comes and say, wow, this is amazing, I want this, but then I want another color, and that color is not possible with sustainable attributes. And so you go back to the traditional products. Well, this company is super clear about what is possible, what is not. And actually, they are also very transparent on what needs to be improved. This creates a relationship with the client. When you see Chiki this year, is because we work together with them on working on it. For example, we work a lot on the data, so that now this company has a lot of data to show customers how they can really reduce the impact and what is not useful to reduce the impact. Second point is, like, they were very quick at adopting sustainability in their strategy. As I said before, they started working in 2018. Well, if you're starting working now or you started a couple of years ago, there's still time because not everyone is super focused on sustainability, but of course you need to be way quicker. They had all the time to try and do test and learn. Now, if you're starting now, you need to go faster. And this also allowed for reliable responses because they had a lot of experience in sustainability, which means they're not only a product company, they're a service company. They give information, they give support to the client that wants to reduce their impact. This totally changes the relationship with the client. They give a service, not only a product. They have a mix of a vision and a scientific approach. They had a very bold vision coming from the owner of the company, but they mixed that bold vision together with data, numbers, and the strong methodology. They did the SBT target. I don't know if you know what SBT is, but basically it's a project, let's say it's a program, which allows company to set climate targets in a way which is aligned with climate goals, global climate goals. Because I could set a target which is minus 5% in 20 years, that's not enough. So that's why the SBT targets allow companies to set targets which are really in line with what we need in our planet. There's a lot of collaboration between departments. You remember the story that I told you about the product team that did this nice capsule collection, but that then there was no collaboration with marketing and sales, and the result was not good. Well, in that case, the sales team is super trained on sustainability, so when they go to clients, they are super able to talk about sustainability. And for example, what we did is that we also created frameworks and documentation for the sales team in order to be independent. And related to this, they also support their partners in the supply chain. So this company works with distributors that sell to other distributors that sell to the final brand. So you can understand that if they invest in sustainability, but the distributor is not able to bring the value in the supply chain, all the value is lost. So for example, we did documentation for distributors, like distributors pay nothing, and they had guidelines on avoiding greenwashing, guidelines on how to communicate in the right way sustainability. Again, they're giving a service, and above all, they're making sure their clients are able to communicate the value of what they're doing to customers. They also did a good customer segmentation because they are super aware that not all the companies they work with care about sustainability. Not all the clients care about sustainability. But they have a target, a part of the target, which is willing to pay 10, 20% more for sustainability. So they know what to say to what client. This makes everything more efficient and more effective. Let's see a sum up of the differences between the traditional approach and their approach. Traditional approach, product limited sustainability, which what I mean is sustainability equals to doing some products with sustainability characteristics. So product focus, which is fine because the biggest impact is in products in the production phases. We saw it, right? But the point is they're focusing on products, not on an overall sustainability strategy, which is what this company did. They had a 360 degrees integration on supply chain, product. Also, they used B Corp as a certification because it was good for US targets. So they had a 360 degree approach. The result is they were considered as a reliable brand. For example, the fact that they also work on brand-related activities was super useful in US because in US, the clients like a brand, not a product. So you can understand that the traditional approach, which is focused on doing some sustainable product, doesn't work in US when they're focused as a brand, while their 360-degree approach worked well. Second point, there is one team that manages sustainability in general without involving sales, intermediaries, etc. As we said before, they had trainings for sales team, tools such as green claim guides for distributors, QR code to communicate all the way to final customers. This, as a result, of course, allows communication to reach all the clients up to the final customers. Third point, reactive approach to trends. But if you need time to get a certification or change a supplier, so if you're reactive and you wait until when it's really, really, really necessary, well, there is a certain moment in which you're not up to date. The opposite approach of this company is that they started because they believed in it. And this allowed companies to be ahead of all their competitors. So they had, 1 year, 2 years of advance with respect to their competitors. And this changed everything because when the competitors started to have the same things that they had, well, their clients were already going to Atlantis and not to the competitors. Another difference, there is no internal expertise on sustainability. Sometimes it's the marketing team, sometimes it's the operations, sometimes it's finance, for whatever reason. In their case, they have an internal department with strong expertise. They're also working with external consultants like us. The result is that they're way faster because they have the internal expertise and the consultants that give them up-to-date information. Again, they are able to be faster than competitors and more innovative. They started using, for example, innovative materials when their competitors were focused on certification, and they saw the results. Last point, there's no complete vision on sustainability. For example, their competitors, what they did is that they added new products to the collection, and these new products had sustainability characteristics, while Atlantis had a completely opposite approach. Their approach was to say to the customer, look, we will substitute, every year we will substitute some of the products, and you will only have sustainable option. So in the end, in 2026, you'll only have options with preferred materials, monitor supply chain, etc. So it's substitution instead of adding option, but maintaining the traditional option. You can understand how reliable the first approach is with respect to the other approach. What's the result of this program? Increasing sale. This connected to the fourth was super strong. Like, as I said before, I talked about the US market. Well, the US market is saturated. They do hats, as you saw in the pictures. The US market for hats is saturated, but they were able to enter that market and get a leadership position thanks to sustainability. So you can understand how strong the result could be. They are growing double digits every year. It's positive ROI. The ROI, they are growing double digits every year. Improved brand perception. You know what is happening? I told you at the beginning that you probably don't know this brand because usually their clients put the brand, their own brand, so you don't see Atlantis in the hat. What is happening in US is that more and more they are maintaining the Atlantis name in the label, and then the brand is also putting the brand name. So, for example, Colmar, putting Colmar in the head, but then in the label there's also Atlantis. What does that mean? That they use Atlantis as a demonstration of attention to sustainability. And finally, HR Boost. They have a lot of positions open, and they have a lot of new generations that want to work at that company because of sustainability, because sustainability is also in the welfare, is also in social aspects. So I wanted to give you an example on how you can really boost competitiveness with sustainability and how you can make changes. And I would like to finish this presentation with a quote, which is, power is the ability to achieve goals. Power is the ability to make changes. And sustainability can be a great source of power if you use it well. Thank you. Okay.
5 minutes
Okay.
for questions. Do you have questions? Yes.
Oh,
You can
thank
take.
you.
Thank you for your presentation, and sorry to have arrived a bit late. Listening to you, I was wondering, you mentioned that you had a lot of scandals with Italian brands having, cascaded supply chain suppliers and so on and so forth. I was wondering if after that scandals, if there are many more brands or producers or product makers who are trying to enter the sustainability in a more radical way, and what will be, from your experience, your estimation of the number of brands or producers who are in Italy doing that, or the growth, the speed of growth of that market? Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question. So the first answer is yes. I know brands which are investing way more and with a wider approach to sustainability after those scandals. Like I literally have clients saying, okay, do you know, we saw what happened with this other brand. Okay, now we really need to work on monitoring supply chain. So yes, this had results in terms of learning. Then the problem is moving from knowing you have to do it in finding the right way to do it, of course, which takes time, because if you have problems in the supply chain, you don't change your supply chain like this in 5 seconds, right? So we have, in terms of companies which are investing in sustainability, like based on the interviews that we do every year for the report, like now we have like more than 90% of companies interviewed investing in sustainability. Then again, the point is that it takes some time to get the final results. So we have companies that now are having a better approach on supply chain monitoring, for example, after the scandals. The problem is it takes at least 3 years to get results. So again, like time is crucial. Did I answer your question?
Any other question? Okay. No more question? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.